Welcome back to another Wartales video. Okay, hopefully just going to be another quick class overview today. We've got two characters left, the Warrior and the Ranger. I think these are the classes that I am the most excited about showing off today. Very quickly, before I jump into them though, there have been a couple of little changes in the beta. So in the last two videos I covered the Archer and Spearman skills and the Swordsman and Brute skills. They have actually changed the Archer and Spearman's first level 2 specialization skills. So they've removed the skills that were the least useful at level 2 and made the choice more meaningful with a skill where if your Archer or Spearman finish up near an enemy, they get an extra Valor point, which is fantastic. It means that you've actually got a lot more choice at level 2 rather than just always wanting to go for the Valorous support, which was kind of the strongest preference in the video I made first. For the Brute, they changed their middle skill to be more around hitting a lot of enemies. So the level 2 skill is now a little bit more AoE focused. And for the Swordsman, they have done the same. So if you hit more than one enemy, you actually gain additional Valor points as well. So really cool skills, and it opens up a little bit more of an AoE style play, which is really cool. Alrighty, let's jump into the Warrior first. Okay, so the Warrior is a strength-based character, much as the other ones are. Now, this guy, I actually had him created before the latest patch, so you'll actually see some of his skills are a tiny bit broken at the moment. But this is the sort of thing that you might expect to happen during the early access as they tinker around with classes and skills and that sort of thing as well. So at level 2, a Warrior has defensive stance, so gain Valor if you choose to shield block while you're engaged. An AoE attack, so if you hit more than one enemy, gain Valor, and Valorous Duel, so fighting one enemy, gain a Valor point. All pretty good, all kind of give you a bit of an idea about which way you might want to go with your character, more of a tank, more of an AoE, or more of a single target engager. At level 3, they do get the option to wear either medium or heavy armor, depending on which spec they take. The Berserker spec is probably the one that I've had the absolute most fun with so far, and Rampage can be really good fun when you're building around a critical hit kind of approach, and obviously doesn't sync very well with hitting multiple enemies, but really great for your dueling. You get to do 3 attacks, and if you get a critical hit you gain Fury. Again, absolutely fantastic. Can deal a lot of damage to enemies, and you'll see combined with some of the level 5 talents can just become really powerful. Executioner is the AoE based build, and this is one that I want to try out a little bit more. Again, I want to combo it with the level 2 AoE, and it could work with a couple of the different level 5 skills, but quite a powerful one. And the coolest thing about it is that it hits as many times as enemies are in the area. So if you get 4 enemies in this space, you will actually be able to cut down all 4 enemies more likely than not with Cutting Maelstrom. So a very powerful one. The Sentinel, choosing this spec actually reduces your strength by a little bit, but ups your constitution. So it's definitely the more tanky of the 3 options. And its special ability is Ovation, which gives all of your allies Riposte, which is just an automatic counter attack when they are attacked in melee combat. It is cancelled if the unit moves, and this is probably the weaker of the skills. However, I wanted to try and build around a more tanky focused Warrior, given that I had a couple of other brutes in the party that were going to be my damage dealers. Plus, trying out all the specs is the name of the game in the closed beta, and that is what I've been attempting to do. So there was a little bit of a bug. I'd actually chosen the middle skill, which was gain Valor on kill, I believe. And when they changed that out, that's why he has no level 2 selected. Alright, they're level 5 skills. So, Madness. Damage increased by 50% against units with 30% health or less. This one actually combos really well with something like Rampage, because you might take them below half health on the first or second strike, meaning that the third does more damage, or the second and the third do more damage. And on larger enemies, such as champions, again, when you really want some more damage, it can actually really help put on some extra damage and take them down a lot faster in, kind of that traditional burn phase. Recklessness, their second level 5 skill. The first skill used in each fight deals 150% extra damage. So this is a talent, a skill that I'm really excited to kind of play around with, because the first couple of rounds of combat are usually the most dangerous. So getting to deal a huge spike of damage really early on is actually a significantly more powerful way to start the combat, and it can really kind of give you the tempo, the momentum to start a fight really well, which is cool. My aim is to kind of try Recklessness out with a big cutting Maelstrom, so using a couple of other party members to set up a really high damage attack, and then using Recklessness to do it. I would also like to combo this with another skill where that will give this character Fury, so that you're compounding your damage bonuses as well. But haven't set that one up yet, so still to come. And their last one, Fanaticism. At the end of their turn, this unit loses 5% of their health to gain Fury, and so Fury gives you a 50% damage increase on your next attack. Gaining Fury automatically is a obviously really good way to guarantee that you're going to gain a 50% damage buff at the end of your turn on your next attack. I would, however, recommend using this with caution, because if you are close to dying, this is something that could tip you over the edge, and it is not something allies will really be able to stop happening to you. A heal is probably not going to help too much, so very interesting, useful for longer fights where you want to be dealing very sustained damage, but you will need to make sure you save some valor points for heals, just to make sure that the character stays alive. Obviously gets a little bit harder later in the game because you're losing more health every turn too. Alrighty, so that kind of covers the warrior. They can use the one-handed axe or a two-handed axe, and shield, can wear medium heavy armor, as I've said, and have been a lot of fun. Warriors are actually one of my favorite classes, and this guy's got pretty poor stats just because I haven't really tried making him any stronger, and he's still got just the most basic weapon you can possibly get. Alrighty, jumping into rangers. Sorry, not rogues. For those World of Warcraft players, this is basically the rogue class in some ways. So if I say rogue, that is where that is coming from. They are a dexterity-based character and have access to some pretty cool weapons. So they actually do use an offhand. They cannot use a shield, so they are limited to either their throwing knife or a poisoned throwing knife later on in the game, or the torch as well. So they can have 3 different offhands equipped. They're a class that can only wear light armor, and their light armor is quite good for them because it does usually boost things like movement, critical hit chance, and later on when you get armor patches you can also get extra bonus dexterity in there as well. Depending on their main weapon, a rogue can actually have a few different types of attack as well. This is similar to most of the classes actually, however I think it's almost the most noticeable for rogues, and so changing from things like applying poison every time you attack to dealing a kind of a whirlwind poison cloud attack. Now with the rogues, I do highly recommend making sure of your positioning before you attack, particularly if you have the whirlwind type attacks, because hitting your own troops is always an unfortunate side effect. So moving into their overall skills, so a ranger, has similar skills to some of the others, well actually all the same, these skills you've seen before: finishing your turn near an enemy without engaging, killing an enemy, or ending your turn near an ally. All 3, again, quite strong. Rangers are very, very good at killing things, so Valorous Victory does get quite a lot of value on a ranger. Ending your turn near an enemy that's engaged, again, you're normally attacking them from behind, so quite good. However, in just sort of ending your turn near them without killing them, it leads you to sort of going, it's actually better to kill them and get the Valor point than just end your turn near them. Their level 3 skills. Frenzy is an attack from behind, so you need to make sure that you're on the opposite side of the unit's arrow direction that they're facing before you use Frenzy for full effect. For a 2-cost skill, I actually find this one a little bit underwhelming overall. 8 to 10 damage is, not too bad, and performing 2 additional attacks means you're hitting anywhere from sort of 24 to 30. You do get the ambush chance, so you've got a slightly higher critical hit when you are attacking from behind. So the potential for a lot more damage is there. However, you're already dealing about 50% of that sort of maximum damage when you're attacking from behind already. So for two Valor points, it is quite an expensive skill. Mostly useful on kind of quite tough enemies, but yeah, I haven't been kind of quite sold on that one yet compared to the utility of the other two. So Strategist and Smokescreen. This is probably my favourite pick for the Rangers at the moment, particularly when you're looking at your first or second Ranger. What Strategist and Smokescreen allow you to do is disengage a group of units sort of within a small area of effect. And being able to choose who is engaged with an enemy and who is not engaged with an enemy, as well as provoking an attack of opportunity, is really, really powerful. So if you cast this Smokescreen on 2 party members, both get an attack of opportunity for full damage, full 100% of their strength or dexterity, and they are no longer in combat as well, so they're free to move around on their turn, attack who they want to attack. So if you compare the 2 skills, Frenzy is kind of like getting 3 additional attacks for 2 Valor points, with no added utility in terms of freeing up allies, and freeing up allies from a distance, that is, as well, so your Ranger can be safe. And yeah, Smokescreen, you can free up allies, they get attacks, it only costs 1 Valor point, and you can do it from a distance. So in terms of kind of value, I think Smokescreen kind of wins out pretty much every time. Poisoner is another good one. I haven't used it kind of as much, but basically with Poisoner, you throw a poison vial and you apply poison to every single unit in that group. The fact that it applies 3 poisons is quite good, because it does mean that you're actually stacking that poison damage up quite high already. If you've seen his dagger, the dagger only applies a single poison when it attacks, and so combining his dagger and the poison vial is quite good. You do want to make sure you're using poison vial from a range, because it does hit quite a large AoE and it will poison your allies, so there is friendly fire with it, and you want to try to avoid poison there. You can see vulnerability there on the right hand side. It's a little bit of a tooltip bug at the moment, but when you upgrade this, if you cast it on someone who is already poisoned, they also become vulnerable. So the upgraded version of Poison Vial is quite strong. Alright, level 5 skills. Poison Weapon. Every time the unit attacks from behind, they apply 1 poison. So this combos quite nicely with Frenzy. So it does mean that you would end up casting Poison 3 on someone from behind. So you'd basically be getting your Poison Vial as well as a whole bunch of damage. The reason that I don't love the combination between Cutthroat and Poisoned Weapon is that ideally for a 2-cost skill, you want to be trying to kill something outright, and applying poison to something that you're killing is, you can already see where that's going. The other level 5 skill is Knife Throw. After using a skill, deal 6 damage to the closest enemy within 8 meters. Now, I really love Knife Throw. If you saw some of my earlier videos, this was the skill that I picked every single time on a Ranger. It's nice because you can walk in, you can throw a knife, and then you'll throw a second knife. If you heal one of your allies, you throw a knife. If they have a lieutenant title, such as this guy does at the moment, you would cause an ally to attack, then you'd throw a knife, and you basically get a whole bunch of extra damage. And so, you know, you can throw 3, 4, 5 additional knives per turn, and so that 6 damage ends up adding up really quite quickly, and it can be the thing that helps finish an enemy off too. So you might end up spending another valor point just to cast the knife throw, and it can be really worth it. And then last one, Deadly Contract, applies fragility to one enemy, the closest enemy, for 1 round, and it increases the amount of damage they take. So this is a really nice skill, and particularly if you start running a couple of rangers in your team with Deadly Contract, you start weakening the enemy quite significantly and just making them easy to kill. So similar to what I said with the warrior at the start, the quicker you can start taking out enemies in a fight, the stronger you can, or the better it is for switching the tempo to your favor, which is really, really cool. I probably say that a lot in these, but it's just really fun when you get a nice combo working like that. The other thing with Deadly Contract is that it can synergize well with other abilities, and so if we had a warrior that was going to deal 150% damage and the enemy is taking an extra 30%, we're compounding the way that the abilities are stacking with each other, and you can honestly just really tip a fight much more quickly into your favor. So look, I am expecting them to make some more changes to skills, to specs, things like that. There was an unfortunate bug that came about when they made a change to the swordsman recently. I actually had, I think, a level 3 or 4 swordsman in the team, and they changed this level 3 spec, the name of it, from knight to combatant, and that actually broke the spec entirely. Every swordsman that had chosen that knight spec had to be kicked out of your party for you to continue. So in terms of things that might happen during early access, it is possible every now and again that your characters will be turned from their professional swordsman status into a civilian through changes to things like skill trees or you know, the names of specs, that kind of thing. So don't get too attached to characters throughout early access. You may have to get rid of them, but overall the changes were definitely for the best, and doing things like improving those level 2 archer skills, spearman skills, warrior skills, swordsman, they changed a whole bunch of them, really mean that you're going to have more choice again in how you build the parties out. So it's really cool to see, and I think so far from what I've seen, Shiro really plan on using early access for the true intent of early access, which is to refine, test, build and improve. Now, I've gone slightly under 20 minutes, so I just want to show a quick little thing on the paths. This is just a little bonus for those of you who have stuck around to the end. And one of the really cool things that I am sort of noticing by having a little bit more of a look at some of these paths is getting a bit of a sense of just how large the game is going to be. So without kind of going into it too much, one of the funnest bits that I had mentioned in an earlier video was the arena combat. And in one of these, and I can never remember it off the top of my head, you actually get a little bit of a hint about the size of the world that it's going to be. So we've only got 2 regions available at the moment, and in the path you can actually get a little bit of a sense of just how large they're going to be. Now I'm just having a little bit of trouble finding the one that I wanted to look at. So this one, treasures from the treasure maps discovered, is currently at 0 out of 30. So there's going to be at least 30 maps that you can buy on your character to then go hunting for treasure around in particular places. The region completed is 0 out of 1 at the moment. That's obviously just a nice little intro to get one region down and out of the way. However, the regions completed. Lords of the Roads over here on the left. Sorry, took me a little while to find that. 0 out of 25. Now, the 2 regions that we have are already worth about 10 to 20 hours of gameplay. When there are 25 regions, this game is going to be huge. So it's very exciting. All right, that is the end of this one. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in Wartales soon.